Hello, everyone. I'm Victor Gabriel, a seasoned supply chain consultant from GP Worldwide. I'm thrilled to be here speaking at Prompt Engineering 2025 conference. Today, I'll be sharing a success story on how we have helped a global food manufacturer to uncover about $30 million in cost savings using a Power BI tool with the embedded prompt engineering framework. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the challenge that we had on hand and the approach we've taken and the solution framework we have developed. And perhaps we will learn how this solution can be used to implement to solve similar business problems across other industries. Now, with that, looking at the challenge, this particular client is a $15 billion food manufacturer with a huge number of contract manufacturers across North America. So, like many large organizations today, they too struggle with scattered data across multiple systems, limited visibility into real time cost information, slow identification of margin leakages, and difficulty turning data into meaningful decisions. Now, for them, Excel dashboards weren't enough. They needed something faster, smarter, and easier to use for their employees. Now, what we've done was, as part of the solution, we have developed a hybrid analytics approach. Now, this framework was built using a Power BI for structure and Microsoft Copilot for intelligent prompts. Now, while Power BI gave reliable real time dashboards explaining or conveying the data, Copilot added a prompt driven layer where users could simply ask questions with quick answers. This made analysis instant. Decisions that once took hours, now it just takes few minutes or seconds. Diving a little bit into the platform architecture, the architecture rests on three key pillars. Power BI Foundation, that's where the real time dashboards are developed presenting the data facts. Prompt engineering layer, this is where the scenario modeling is done through the Microsoft Copilot. And the integration engine, this is where connecting the data connects happens with the multiple across multiple manufacturing systems, supplier portals, finance data to form a single source of truth. Now, together with all three pillars, it gives us a single source of truth and a rapid insight generation. Yeah, looking into the prompt engineering in action. So, what it actually means, analysts could talk directly to data. That's what it means. They can ask any question they may want. They can ask a question, hey, why my scrap rate went down in scrap rates were high in Q3? Why? What factors have actually contributed to the most to the scrap variance in Q3? And the system responds with visuals within no time and summarizes instantly. No manual analysis is needed. Prompt engineering made advanced analytics accessible to everyone, not just the data scientists. Now, the approach. Talking about the approach, now that we have the framework, here is the approach for execution. The focus the focus was kept on two major levers: the margin performance and the cost optimization. Margin performance, that's where the focus was on conversion cost, the overall yield, profitability per product, and the cost optimization, that's where the supplier cost benchmarking was done, packaging efficiencies, the metrics were looked at, and the production process improvement initiatives. Now, by targeting these, we could quickly see where the money was being lost and where the improvements can be made. Now, talking about the timing. Now, usually for projects like these, timing is everything. This solution was launched during a major corporate restructuring. Key insights guided leadership decisions, telling them which suppliers to consolidate, which to grow with, which to shift production. It directly supported companies' new operating model. And these are the results, the transformative impact. The impact was pretty clear. 30 million was achieved in savings across scrap and conversion costs. When I mentioned scrap, it's coming from the raw material and packaging scrap from the products and the conversion costs. Now, that's number one. And faster decisions were made with more transparency, and the supply performance were improved, and it also helped us with the real-time tracking. And the platform paid for itself several times over. It was almost a good number of return on investment as one of the results. Now, here is the real world application. Now, one of the major findings that we saw as the outcomes were the scrap rates were 15% above the industry benchmarks that was contributed to losing a lot of money, wasting millions. Now, using the prompt driven insights, we found consistent product recipes. Now, remember, we're talking about the food manufacturer, and the product is a food. You can say it can be a candy, or it can be an energy bar, or it can be any food item. So now think about the product recipe. Now making it streamlining the product recipes would help. Now, and that is not easy. So one of the things we were able to fix it by standardizing the formulas, food formulas, the renegotiating the supplier contracts, adding the live performance alerts, supply performance alerts, and within 18 months, the food scrap, raw material and packaging scrap was at the industry best levels. Now, that has given the client about $30 million in savings. Now, what lessons have we learned just in general from executing this project? Always start with the business questions, not with tools. The tools are important, but starting off with the business questions is most important. And ensuring the data quality early on is important too. Poor data, it just kills the good analytics. And work cross functionally. When we say the data, the one of the pillars of the framework was the integration engine. It is important that we read the data, we are able to integrate the data, transform the data that comes from IT, that comes from finance, that comes from operations, that comes from supplier portals. Now, working cross-functional with the cross-functional teams is quite important. Now, and using the AI wisely. Now, it should enhance and not replace the human judgment. As we are using the Copilot to support with making some of the decisions, data-driven decisions, it is not to replace entirely, but it just augments, enhances the human judgment. Those were the some of the lessons we have learned from executing this project. From insight to action, what was the overall decision cycle that we have observed? Now, a quick reminder that how insights are turned into action. First is the data integration. This is where the real time updates from all the sources are aggregated. Now, then the visual discovery, visualize and spot trends in the dashboards. Then the prompt driven analysis, asking the questions, testing the scenarios with AI, in this case, the Copilot, but you can also use the LLMs. Synthesizing, the Copilot generates the summaries for executives so that the data driven decisions can help make some of the meaningful business decisions. And the implementers obviously making the decisions and acting on them, launching the projects and launching the initiatives. The team are acting on it and monitoring those results. And we go back in the cycle to refine it. So this loops kept on the continuously it needs to be kept continuously improving from data to decision and decision to action. So that's it's a virtuous cycle. Now, the practical blueprint, if we have to get started on similar projects, where to get started? In your project, if you're looking at how can we implement a kind of a similar framework to realize cost savings using a similar solution framework, first identify 3 to 5 high impact areas, then build a simple Power BI dashboard, then layer in a copilot gradually. So first is a Power BI dashboard. Make sure that you know the data, you have the data and you're able to spot trends. Then on top of it, goes of the Copilot or any LLM, and then track the insights that leads into actions. And the fifth one is the scale and standardize. Once it is proven, it's all about proving the value early and then expanding it fast. So that can be a successful blueprint in order to execute for similar projects. Now, talking about the future, this is just the beginning of AI augmented supply chain intelligence. Now, next comes the predictive analytics. We just have the prompt engineering layer, and next comes the predictive analytics, automated recommendations, and risk forecasting, all blending the structured data with adaptive AI. So, whether you're tracking the margins erosion or supplier optimization or network complexity, remember, Power BI, it just gives a structure, And prompt engineering, it gives us the agility, it just gives us that speed. Now, together, it will give us a clarity of thought, clarity of the business performance with the speed at a good rate of speed. Now, I really appreciate again for this opportunity that was given to me to present this to all of you. Now, feel free to reach out to me in case you have any questions or to share simply your thoughts. Now, with that, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity once again to be a speaker here at Prompt Engineering 2025 conference. Thank you all.